All right, welcome back everyone. I hope you guys are enjoying this 90 days security challenge, security plus exam challenge. I know it's pretty long, but let's get it started. This session is about understanding Active Directory. In the last lecture, in the last session, we learned about what are identities, or how exactly identification works, and how exactly the authentication works. We also take an example of a corporate office, but this video is about understanding how your identification and authentication works in the enterprise world. And trust me, more than 95%, I would say 98 to 99% of the time in the enterprise, or in fact wherever you go, you will find Active Directory. Okay, so let's not take much time, let's get it ahead. You can see this is the Windows Server 2019. Okay, if I minimize this, you can see it's a Windows 2019 release software. And what do you need to do in order to access this? You just type Server Manager. Okay, Server Manager. Once you click on it, you should see this opening up, Server Manager, right? And then in order to have Active Directory, first of all, let me tell you, Active Directory is just like a database. Okay, what if you recall, I told you that, you know, whenever the scanner scans your ID card, it's actually check your information, user information in the database. So this is basically a very smart database with which we can do quite a lot of good stuff. Okay, and once you have Server Manager, once you have Windows Server, you need to install Active Directory, and you have to put it in a specific domain as well, your organization domain. Maybe learn with Rajneesh.com. Okay, so if you see, I have added ADDS, which is Active Directory Domain Services. So you can see all the information has been added. What we need to do is we need to just see if the how we can add a new users into the system. You can click on Tools. You'll find a lot of information from Active Directory, Administrative Center, Domain and Trust, module for Windows, Windows PowerShell, sorry, and we have Active Directory users. Okay, let's click on it. Perfect. You can see the new window opens up, and we have learn with Rajneesh.com here. And once you click on it, you will find computers, domain controller, managed service account, and user. Okay, in the user, you will find all the user in the organization. So currently we have 2 test user. You can see this, right? If I click on it, we'll get their information. And these are basically identities. If you remember, if you recall, in my last session, I told you about information about each individual employees or user. So we can store their information about first name, last name, display name, description, office, telephone number, email, web page, address, account, profile, telephones, organization, sessions, remotes. And if you see member of, this is where we assign user to a specific group so that he can only access to those resources. So if we club multiple resources and put them in a specific group, so accordingly we can, you know, allocate groups to that user as well. So we can assign different privileges to the user as well. So over here you can see whatever names we type. Maybe if we type domain, we get to see all the domain, right? Domain admin, domain computers, domain guest. So if let's say we click on domain guest will be added to this. We click OK. Now he will be part of domain user and domain guest as well. Now let's apply and let's keep it OK. Now let's create a new user from scratch maybe. Okay, I'll click here, type user 3. And user 3 will be his full name, maybe admin, and you can specify his own user name. So remember one thing, the moment the user join the organization, this is what the IT admin need to do, because once he join the organization, wherever he go in the office or whichever desk he use, he just have to remember his username and the password, and the same username and password will be used everywhere in the organization. This is also called single sign-on. Okay, we'll be talking about it in the later videos too. So we can have user3. Now the user email address would be user3@learnwithrajneesh.com. This is not specially an email, but he is the part of a domain. Okay. Then he need to specify the password. So make sure it comply with the standards. Oops, sorry. Okay, now once we specify the password, usually IT admin define the standard password like admin123 and all those stuff, right? And then you can check if you want user to change the password in the next logon. Usually this is enabled by default, okay, but I'm keeping it disabled. Make sure organization, all the IT admin usually keep it a check, okay? And then we can click on next, finish. That's it. Now this user has been created. Now if I click on it, I'll get to see all the information, right? Description, office, email, all this information. Now by default, this user will be part of domain user. That means once if he is authenticated with the right credentials, he will be part of domain user. That means the user has got some authorization, has got some privileges after getting authenticated, but these are limited. But if I want to increase his privileges, I just have to add a new domains. We'll be talking about it later as well. But understand what we have done is created an identification method for the user, so that in the database, basically user will be identified based on his first name and his username. So if the user type the user3 as his username, that means he's identified, right? But will he be authenticated? Will not. After entering the correct password, only he will be authenticated. So that's way we have talked about how the identification and authentication works, right? If you have any question, you can ask me in the comment section. I would love to answer that. Thank you so much. Bye for now.